In this lesson, the target states, I can find the area of a circle. The area of a circle is the product of n and the square of the circle's radius, r. And n is pi. A lot of times for problems we're going to solve, we're going to just use 3.14 for pi. Instead of using the pi button on your calculator, just use 3.14. Let's go over the parts of a circle. Just so we remember, we're talking about the area of a circle for this lesson. The area of a circle is the surface inside the circle. All the surface inside the circle would be its area. The circumference is the perimeter of the circle, the distance around it. The diameter is the distance across the entire circle, and the radius is the distance halfway across the circle. And this is what we need to solve for the area of a circle, radius. Let's take a look at a few examples. Find the area of each circle to the nearest tenth. Using 3.14 as pi, or n. So we're going to use the formula a equals pi times r squared. And in place of pi, we're going to use 3.14. So it's 3.14 times r squared. So in example A, the radius is 3 meters. So I'm going to substitute 3 in for r. So my equation is going to become a equals 3.14 times 3 squared. Evaluating order of operations, I have to do the exponent first. 3 squared is 9. So 3.14 times 9 is 28.26. It asks me to round this to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to round in the tenths place using the 6. So my final answer would be 28.3 square meters. Because its area, it needs square units. It's talking about the surface inside, so it's square units. Example B. In example B, they gave us a diameter. If the diameter equals 8, then what's the radius? Well, radius is half the diameter, so the radius is 4. So let's substitute in 4 for r. 3.14 times 4 squared. 4 squared is 16. So 3.14 times 16 will be my area of this circle. Using my calculator, I got 50.24. So rounding this to the nearest tenth, using the 4, it's going to stay at 2. So a final answer for this would be 50.2 square inches. It's important I use the correct units. It helps me demonstrate that I understand that it's an area problem, being square units, and that it's in inches. You can also estimate the area of a circle. You can square the radius and multiply by 3. So if you round pi to 3, sometimes it's helpful to be able to estimate. So if I use, in place of pi 3, I can estimate the area of this circle pretty easily. 4 squared is 16. 3 times 16 is 30 plus 18. 3 times 10 is 30. 3 times 6 is 18. So an approximate area for this one would be 40 square centimeters. Sometimes it's helpful to be able to estimate and just kind of get a rough answer before you do anything with a calculator. So the area of this estimated would be 40 square centimeters. You try. Click pause and try these 3 problems in your notebook, and click play to check your answers. For number 1 and 2, find the area of each circle to the nearest tenth, and using 3.14 in place of pi. Remembering that the area of a circle is pi times r squared, and we're using 3.14 in place of pi. Number 3, a wheel has a radius of 14 centimeters. What is the area of the wheel? Use 22 over 7 for n. Remember in a previous lesson, 22 over 7 is a really close approximation of pi. So use it if you can. Otherwise, just use 3.14 for n. Maybe we'll do it both ways. Good luck. In number 1, the radius is 5. So A equals 3.14 times 5 squared. 5 squared is 25, so it's 3.14 times 25. 3.14 times 25 is 78.5. It's already to the 10th place, so it's 78.5 square inches. Number 1. Number 2. The diameter is 16, the radius is 8. 1/2 the diameter. So A equals 3.14 times 8 squared. 8 squared is 64, so 3.14 times 64. 3.14 times 64 is 200.96. Ooh, so I'm going to round to the nearest tenths place. And it's a 6, so it's going to bump it up to 201. So if you put 200.9 square centimeters, that's a pretty good answer. But if I rounded this one, it would bump it up to 201 square centimeters for number 2. For number 3, a wheel has a radius of 14 centimeters. So the radius is exactly what we want. It's the distance halfway across the circle. So A equals, I'll use 3.14 first, times 14 squared. 14 squared is a pretty big number, so I have to use a calculator. 14 times 14 is 196. So 3.14 times 196 is 615.44. If I round this to the nearest tenth, it'd be 615.4. Square centimeters for a final answer. If I used 22 over 7, I would have been able to reduce because 7 goes into 196. So if I did A equals 3, let me back that up, 22 over 7 times 196, which is 14 squared, you could cross cancel. 7 goes into 196 28 times. And it goes into itself once. So my final answer would be 22 times 28, which is 616. So if you, square centimeters, use 22 over 7 occasionally for pi, because you know 7 goes into the radius squared, you can simply cross cancel and multiply. You get a really close approximation. These two answers are pretty close together.